This is video 49 in a series on the foundations of arithmetic, algebra, and graphing. My name is Bill Kinney. It's part 8 of a sub-series on algebra formulas, functions, and graphing with an emphasis on spreadsheet usage. This is the second video where we'll be dealing with spreadsheets. And what you see right here is what I did in the first video on spreadsheets. I typed in some text in various spots. I got Excel to do some math in a couple spots, and I plotted a function. I erased what I did with plotting the function. I'm going to redo it and also emphasize a couple other things. First of all, let me emphasize that when you do what I did in the last video here, here's what I did. I typed in cell C8, I typed equals 2 times B8. I am doing math, you can see, in a way that's different than what I first showed you up in cell C2 and C3. I'm using a cell reference, in this case B8, as kind of like a variable in a sense. The B8 is like the X. It's going to take whatever is in cell B8 and multiply it by 2. Enter that here. So if I change what's in cell B8, it's going to change what's in cell C8. I didn't really emphasize that in the last video. I'm emphasizing that now. For example, if I change this to an 8, watch this. I haven't entered it yet. The Y hasn't changed, but watch. It will change. Now Y changed to a 16. It took 2 times 8 to give me 16. I could enter a non-integer here, a rational number like 8.23. It's automatically doing the correct thing, multiplying it by 2 and updating it correctly to be what goes in cell C8. I'll go back to a 0 here. Another thing that I didn't emphasize enough is that when you, in the first video on this, is that when you drag this downward or copy and paste it downward, everything down here gets updated because what happens is the formula gets updated. Look up at the top here, and actually by highlighting it there, it makes it show up down here. Look at that formula down there in cell C9. It says equals 2 times B9. When what I typed in cell C8 was equals 2 times B8. It automatically assumed that I wanted to do 2 times B9 when I dragged the formula downward. In this cell, C10, it's an equals 2 times B10. You see those there without, I never typed those there. In cell C11, you see an equals 2 times B11. It's automatically updating the formula in the way that it assumes you want to. Now, what if you don't want it to do that? That's another question, and I'll show you how to deal with that in another video. But here it is updating it correctly by updating the cell reference B8, B9, B10, etc. in the formulas that are in column C. Alright, another thing I want to show you is, I promised that to show you a quicker way of getting the numbers in column B to be updated correctly. And it's especially quicker if you want to make this table go on for a long ways here. I typed in a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here before. Let me type in something different. I'm going to use a formula. In cell B9, I'm going to type in equals B8 plus 1. That's going to take whatever's in cell B8 and add 1 to it. There's a 0 in cell B8. 0 plus 1 is 1, so we will get a 1 here. But if you go on the cell B9 and look up at the top, you see that it is actually a formula behind the scenes, which does mean if I change what's in cell B8, it would update it. If I made B8 a 12, it's going to update B9 to be a 13. But I'm going to go back to a 0 there. And now you can drag this formula downward as well. Click the lower right corner, click and drag. Those stay the same, but there's formulas in the background if you look up at the top. And now it's really this is kind of a fun thing. You can actually highlight both of these things at the same time. Click the lower right corner of the combined highlighting, click and drag. You can go really fast if you like. And look at that. Isn't that fun? everything gets updated correctly, and we can see lots of values of this function. So you can play with that. It's kind of a fun aspect of Excel. And definitely it's better than just typing all that going downward. What about the graph? Well, let me go back and we'll just focus on the rest of this video just on formatting the graph. I think I want to zoom out a little bit so we can see the graph better. Alright, so I'll highlight these. I don't have to highlight the X and the Y. There's a little bit of probably is a good practice too, though, in general, but there are some situations where that's a good idea. I'm going to click on charts again. Scatter, XY scatter is the one I usually use in this context. And that's already up here. And probably one of these three in the middle is what I want to pick. I think I'll pick this one. It'll, in general, if you don't have a straight line, it'll connect the dots with smooth curves. This one will connect them with straight line segments. I typically use this one. There's the graph. The legend is nice if you have more than one function involved. I don't here, so I'll get rid of that. I clicked on it and just deleted it. And now if I want to format the chart title, over here on a Mac at least, I just type in function graph or something like that, and that gets updated. I can label the axes by clicking here, and maybe I'll just type x-axis, and notice how it gets updated down there. And if I want to give a label to the y-axis, I could type something like y-axis over here, and it gets updated there. And you can also click on these things and make changes there as well. But do notice that it's the right graph. Another thing you might want to do is add some grid lines, maybe some vertical grid lines, maybe more of them. There's lots of different things you can do to make your graph look nicer. But I think I'll end this video right there, and we'll continue with another example in the next video.